Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, and we have a Bachelor Nation news update to yesterday's story. Reality Steve broke a story with a video of Brandon dancing at the club, and the story was that Brandon was still with Serene, and then due to a lot of speculation that audience members had in the Bachelor Nation world, Reality Steve has confirmed they were still together. Brandon and Serene were absolutely a couple when he was seen dancing with another lady. Because of the sensitive nature of this story, of course, Reality Steve can't reveal his sources, but he's confirming that he has airtight sources that say they were not broken up, they were still together. This was the video that was the final straw that broke the camel's back, and we're going to hear what he has to say right here. I got some hate too, which I will address. I got very little hate, but it's bound to happen that you're going to get hate when you make a story about a couple that is beloved. And look, there's no harm needs to be done to them, no judgment other than, vote with your follow. If you think that it's a redeemable storyline and you want to keep following them, for sure, keep following Brandon. I mean, I think Brandon's probably a nice guy. He's probably got some issues he needs to work on, but don't we all? All right. And of course, Serene has done nothing wrong here. So people found a way to make it about her and blame her. But, from all we've seen here, Serene has done nothing wrong. And this video was seen by her, allegedly, and that was when the relationship was called off. So there was the video right there. The video itself is not a huge deal, but the lady in question's neck is turned to the side, and they were saying that he was kissing her and this and that. Again, that was just whoever took the video apparently had their own sort of thoughts about what else was going down that wasn't caught on camera. Again, it was enough to end the relationship, so it's not about whether or not the video was legit. It is, we see it, and it's also not about whether or not anything was happening or it was innocent. They were just having fun. They were just in dance class. It's not like that, right? So here's what Steve has to say. And again, this is just what happens. He made this story and tried to dance around certain things he probably didn't want to disclose, because that's what you do. You have to sort of take the information you have and package it in a way that's going to protect your sources, and it's going to, all of that. So that's very fair. But in that process, sometimes people don't get all the information, and then they go, I don't think there was any cheating. Like we just had a comment from somebody right here that says, that wasn't it. There was a different comment. My theory is Serene broke up with Brandon. Brandon was heartbroken, so his friends tried to take him out to cheer him on, which is fine. It's really less a theory and more fan fiction, because that's just not what happened. But here's the information Reality Steve has to share.
May 5th. Here's one mistake that I made yesterday. No, nothing I reported was wrong. My mistake was thinking people would, automatically assume that I didn't do any due diligence whatsoever, and that I would report something without vetting it out. After everything that I've been through in the past, I think there's just a subset of people who have this notion that all I care about is taking down contestants from the show, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So I want to say this as clear and concise as I can, because maybe I wasn't as clear yesterday as I should have been, and that's on me. When I said yesterday on my podcast and in the column, when I say, to know now that Brandon was seen in this video with another woman on May 5th, and 3 days later on May 8th, they released a joint statement announcing a breakup, I don't think it's hard to figure out what happened here. That wasn't me speculating. That wasn't me guessing. Take out your recorders, take out your pens, take out your pencils, take out your crayons. Whatever you need to do to get this message across. Brandon and Serene on May 5th were absolutely 100% a couple. They were not broken up. They were not on the outs.
And what we like to do is try to take these stories and listen to what people are saying and hear everyone's opinions. And after yesterday's reporting, a lot of people online were saying, oh, this is reckless and irresponsible to show a video of him dancing with someone if they already broke up. Clearly, they had broken up before. I had people within the Bachelor community, alumni, message me, call me, and try to get their story straight. But there's a different story coming out from his camp, and there's a different story coming out from Reality Steve's camp. And Reality Steve doesn't have a real stake in the matter here. So unless Serene and Brandon go on the record and discuss this, I think the reporting is pretty accurate. Do you know what I mean? If this reporting's completely wrong and they had broken up a month ago, I don't think Serene and Brandon would remain quiet. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Brandon was seen with another woman on May 5th as an engaged man to Serene Russell. On Monday, May 8th, 3 days after that happened, they released a statement they were broken up. So I just want to make that very clear because I got 3 or 4 emails yesterday and some responses to what I posted on Twitter, which was the video, saying, well, don't you think the timeline could have been they were already broken up? And I guess, like I said, I didn't make that clear.
So now we know. So that's Reality Steve's timeline. I've spoken to him, and it seems like it's a pretty solid source that he's working with, or source is, and it seems like there's going to be no. My guess is we're not going to hear from Serene. She hasn't commented anything on social media, and my guess is we're not going to hear from Brandon. What's probably going to happen is there's just going to be a lot of private messages sent around trying to jockey for position. Now, this is the story. This is how it went down. Maybe they had broken off their engagement. Maybe they weren't wearing their engagement rings. We've heard that too from close sources, but that doesn't mean that the dancing didn't happen, and it doesn't mean that wasn't the final straw. Maybe there was a lot of trust issues happening, and then when this video came out, it was like, look, I mean, we're trying, and again, I'm just projecting right now. I don't know, this isn't a fact, or this isn't me sharing a source, but maybe Serene sees the video, when this came out weeks or months ago, whenever Cinco de Mayo, so weeks ago, last month, and maybe she sees the video and goes, you know what, the fact that we were trying to work on it, and then I see you dancing with another woman clearly shows me you weren't that serious about working on it, and maybe that was how it all went down. So respectfully, I'll read some comments that I received. Sherry said, isn't this rich? And again, I respect these types of comments. I really do. Weren't you the same person doing multiple videos about protecting the mental health of reality TV stars just a few weeks ago? And my response to that was, I think you can discuss a story like this and still pursue reality TV stars getting mental health help. If that makes me a hypocrite, as I'm being called here, and here you are perpetuating it. So who's caring these contestants' who cares about these contestants' mental health, Dave? You are a hypocrite, period. And I don't think that's hateful. It's an observation. And Sherry, I'm not taking it as hateful. It's a public forum, my comment section. You can leave those comments and accuse me by that. You stand by your words and I stand by mine. The video's out there. So I guess what they're saying is, what is the point of doing this publicly? If they were together, one could make the tenuous argument that you want her to know who she's with, but no, they've broken up. So what was the point of this reporting? It's your bully BFF salivating, that's Reality Steve, at starting a campaign against someone on the show, something that he's historically done and enjoyed. Well, if you listen to what Reality Steve said today, I think you could hate on him all you want for past reports, and we've all gotten things wrong. I've gotten things wrong as well. But I think his effort to get the story right is valid. He spent a week with different, and I've seen this where he's covered the story about Nate with the girl he was dating, not Nate with the Nate Mitchell, and he spent like a month on that story. He had phone calls and FaceTimes, and there's stories that he has where people won't go on the record, where people won't put a name behind it if it's an anonymous account. Like, it's one thing if you don't want to go on the record publicly, but you can still be a Jane Doe. But if you're just some Instagram handle that has T, like, there's certain stories he's not sharing. So I think times have changed. I personally disagree with you, Sherry. I don't think it's hypocritical for me to preach for mental health and also cover this story. I'm not the one DMing these contestants, right? So like I said yesterday with my bison analogy, you can go to Yellowstone and look at the bison, but if you go up to them and try to touch them, they're going to gore you to death. Don't talk to the reality contestants. If you don't like what they do, unfollow them and just let them be. That's my policy there. I think that's the best thing we can do for mental health. If somebody messes up, they mess up. It's news. That's how it works. So I stand by that. And again, if you don't like the ethics of my channel, you can also unsubscribe. That's fair for you to do, right? So there's the business transaction, right? We can agree to disagree there. All right, let's go to what Reality Steve had to say at the 8-minute mark here. And also, on a side note, I've got stand-up shows. If you want to come, Sherry, maybe you don't like my YouTube video, but maybe you'll like my stand-up. I've got a stand-up show tonight at Greenwich Village Comedy Club at 7:30 p.m. Yeah, it's a little weird. It's tough to make make YouTube content and then have to tell people exactly where I'll be because, boy, can you really ask for some trouble there. But I'll be there tonight, and then tomorrow night, Greenwich Village, 8 p.m., West Side Comedy Club for the late night show, 10 p.m. Friday night. So lots of New York shows still going on. Hey, shout out to Lizzie. Shout out to Megan. I'm going to forget so many people here. Shout out to all the people that came to my show 2 days ago. We got to hang out afterwards. A lot of Game of Roses fans. We had folks that came out from all over. So but we had Leslie come in from Albany. That's right, a 3-hour drive each way. Thank you so much for coming to see me. I'm not that interesting, but I do appreciate it. Let's wrap it up with Steve and hear what he has to say.
Like I said, I don't want to sit here and pat myself on the back, but when people come at me and say all I care about is bringing people down, you're wrong. You're factually incorrect. That is not the case. I've had plenty of people on my podcasts that have told great, great stories and have never told them anywhere else before. So I don't know what else to tell you.
And so then he goes through I mean, he's got a point there. It's to be called his the bully BFF here. That's an interesting. Maybe some merch shirts there. But look, this video was sent to a group of people. The fact that it hasn't come out yet was impressive. And so Reality Steve had this video for a while, and he just didn't have anyone who wanted to speak about it. So he decided not to share it until he had further information he can share. To be quite honest, I think it's more responsible the way he's doing it than just for some random person to share it and then we all speculate. He's telling you exactly what he has based on the information he has, and he's actually protecting people here. And I think that protection is admirable. And I guess he doesn't have to pat himself on the back. I'll pat him on the back and say that. I don't know. I mean, look, I've got a lot of friends in Bachelor Nation, and I've, I don't need to call them out personally, right? I've got a lot of commentator friends, and they all understand that there is a tight needle to thread here, and you don't always get it right. The alternative is probably to just never make any content. So I think respectfully, trying to make the content and do it the right way and take the time and run ideas by other people is the way to do it. It doesn't mean you won't get burned and fly too close to the sun. It just means you're going to try your best and be or try to be not reckless, right? No wrecks here, except for this relationship, which has, of course, concluded itself. Will we hear from Brandon and Serene? That's yet to be seen, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. I'll have more content on today's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast, including a Vanderpump Rules recap and some other things that are going on within my community. I've also got this video I just posted, or I will be posting today on the Patreon. I recorded it yesterday with my wife. We were walking around New York City, and I've got my lavalier mics hooked up, and we were basically it was the obviously the worst. I think today's better if I look at the window, but the worst weather, the worst air quality in the history of New York City due to these Canadian wildfires. So if you want to just watch us be mic'd up and walk around town.
One avenue in the wrong direction.
No, we gotta go this way still. So there it is. You can go check that out if you want to see. We were just doing a camera test, and we obviously messed up some of the camera testing because it's that selfie stick camera I'm using, and the artificial intelligence that makes the stick disappear. It didn't work perfectly, but you can go listen. The audio is very good, so you can go listen to it on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. Tomorrow, I've got a very special Driving with Dave video that's going to premiere a brand new song. We've got the approval to play the song on our channel. It's Ryan Neal. He's got a new song called Wonder Woman, and we're so excited to share that with you. That's on tomorrow's Driving with Dave. Subscribe here and make sure you are ready for that. And we'll be back later on with Bachelor Rush Hour.